This is the RPM Podcast.
Could have gotten it right for the first time ever in this whorehouse of a town. But he tore it to shreds. He replaced it with cleavage and fart jokes.
Eric, no gag reflex, Brennan.
I always wanted to keep my women and my racing separate. It's not a sexist thing. I don't need Miss Red Cups and Miss Coors Lights and all that. I don't need that.
Eric,
Bump and splats.
Graham,
You get your skirt dirty, it's a bad thing.
Sam Ballard Jr.,
I like dirty skirt.
Nick Rendo,
Longer, lower, wider.
and Josh Matthews. That's also because of the bumps. Yeah, it was clean, and he wore gloves. Okay, I have pictures.
And welcome, everybody. It's the RPM Podcast once again. Episode 117.
We're that far?
We have Sam Ballard back. Welcome back, Sam. There for a couple weeks off. You're back. Room still looks exactly the same.
I don't know,
Yeah,
those bed sheets look a little messy.
Yeah, he's got a girlfriend now. He messes the bed up every once in a while. Welcome back, Sam. He's down in Charlotte. He goes to college down in Charlotte. He's only, what did he say, spitting distance from Alan Kowalski's race shop.
Yeah, that's right.
And Josh Matthews is down at his house in Waretown, New Jersey, and I'm at the Edge of Divorce Motorsports Studio in Manchester, New Jersey. I want to start out tonight just talking a little bit. We're recording this on Tuesday night, October 30th. We're a little later than normal. It's 9:25 p.m. But tonight is Mischief Night, and I just wanted to talk real quick about Mischief Night before we get into the racing. I grew up in a small New Jersey town, man. Mischief Night was a big thing. I thought it was like a nationwide thing. I'm just learning now that the rest of the country really doesn't do it. I know Michigan does it, and they call it like Devil's Eve or something like that. But I thought everybody did Mischief Night. I know in North Jersey, I have a couple friends that live up there. Some of them call it like Cabbage Night, and there's another one calls it Goosey Night.
Wait,
or something
what?
like
Did you say?
yeah, it's called Cabbage Night. For some reason, it was called Cabbage Night. I mean, we got Sam back, so he's going to look all this stuff up for us. Yeah.
So, Mischief Night is
we're off to a rough start.
in New Jersey, in the Philadelphia, Delaware area. This is all on Wikipedia, so you know it's true. And they call it Mischief Night, and then in Northern Jersey, they call it Devil's Night. I don't know about, or they call it Goosey Night.
Goosey Night? Cabbage Night.
I don't see Cabbage Night, but you know what, man?
Cabbage Night.
I'm not going to call you a liar, Scott.
But yeah, Devil's Eve is another one. I know, like, the only other part of the country that I know that do it is like Michigan, like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan or something. They call it Devil's Eve, which I think is a cool name, Devil's Eve. But man, I grew up in a small Jersey town, and Mischief Night was huge, man. We used to go out in packs of kids, man, and we used to have like little battles out there. We would shave and cream each other, throw eggs at each other, toilet paper, the whole deal, man. It was pretty
That's
crazy.
a new intro bite.
Yeah. I remember taking the shaving cream cans, and what you would do is where the shaving cream comes out, you would stick a pin in it, and you would melt it. You would melt the plastic around the pin, and then when it cooled, you would pull the pin out. This way, the shaving cream shot really, really far. So when you're walking down the street, you see another group of kids, you can shoot them with the shaving cream from across the street and stuff like that. That was some of this. Then we would take my one friend was diabetic, so he had needles. We would take eggs. And we would stick the needles through the eggshells and suck the yolks out of the eggs, right? Mm-hmm. Then you would take another needle, fill it with paint, push the paint into the eggshell. So now you had an eggshell filled with paint. So you see your friends walking by, they hit you with eggs. You got to step them up once. Now you're hitting them with paint and eggs, covering them in paint.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was some of the stuff we did. I mean, Mischief Night got so bad in my town. If you were under 18, you weren't even allowed to buy eggs. Like, so we would have to buy them like a couple of days in advance and store them somewhere and wait for Mischief Night, because you weren't even allowed to buy eggs. You weren't allowed to buy eggs in our town. You weren't allowed to buy spray paint in our town, stuff like that. So it was pretty crazy in our town with Mischief Night.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that you're not allowed to buy eggs, because I actually just saw a post not even an hour ago. Let's see if I can dig it up again here. From our very own Tim O'Shea. That's really not that surprising, is it? Um, he said he was buying, I think it was six. Yeah, here it is. Buying 6 dozen eggs. Cashier flags manager. I said I'm making. I said I'm making Halloween cupcakes. Booyah! So, you can see who the Catholic boy is here. Sam's like, oh, you guys are too much. Like it's funny, Sam.
Listen, man, I fell asleep at like 8 p.m. on Mistress Nights. I did not want to go out. I am just an old man. Halloween was never my holiday.
It got so crazy in my town that I grew up. They used to pay people to sit in front of the stores so the kids didn't egg the stores and stuff like that. Like you needed security. I'm telling you, my town was nuts with that stuff. I just looked up cabbage night just to prove you guys that I'm not crazy. And it's the same thing. It's cabbage night, mostly around New York City, northern Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, especially upstate New York and Vermont. A particular night, commonly the night of the 30th to the 31st of October, during which young people play pranks and mischief in their neighborhoods. I don't know where the name cabbage night came from, but that's another name for it.
They probably sat in a circle and they were like, hey, let's call this something weird. And they were like, yeah, cabbage. Yeah, there's no cabbages involved, but why not? Why not?
I just, I don't know. You learn something new. Like the devil's thing, I get, but the cabbage.
Yeah, Devil's
thing,
Eve's kind of cool. I never heard that until I looked it up the other day. But yeah, it was Mission Night in my town. And
I do think this whole idea of Mistress Night is kind of stupid. Always thought it was stupid. I mean, it's like the purge. It's like this idea of just being idiots and how it's socially acceptable to be an idiot.
I kind of like the idea of the purge because you'll probably get a lot of those people out of the left lane on the Parkway. What?
A lot of those people are probably listening to the RPM podcast in the left lane, Josh.
If you guys want to know the origin of Cabbage Night, it says Cabbage Night stems from an old Scottish tradition, according to Framing Legends, a history of the Massachusetts town in Framingham, which apparently also calls it Cabbage Night. Girls on Halloween Eve would closely examine cabbages pulled out of their neighbors' patches to divine the qualities of their future husbands. Once the cabbage had served its purpose, the only logical thing to do with it was throw it against the door and run really fast, thus beginning a long tradition of Halloween pranks. So they would take the rotten cabbage and throw it at people's houses.
All right. I don't even know. I mean, I could see a lot
I got nothing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of things that would be more damaging than rotting cabbage, and it's basically every fruit and vegetable. I mean, a corn cob would at least go through a window. Cabbage, I don't know. I mean, if it's that rotten,
I guess that town they just grew a lot of cabbage, and that's what they do. The old cabbage. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, I'm telling you, I grew up in a town where Mission Night was the big night, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm sorry you guys didn't experience that in your childhoods.
Whoa! What do you mean I didn't?
I don't. Did you? You're not saying nothing.
I like to keep my evil deeds secret.
But you lived over on Todd Road on a farm, and I lived in a town. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we live back up. We're backed up to power lines. It doesn't mean I can't do anything. I have ways of accessing things.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, we should leave it there.
Yeah, I think you should, Josh. Otherwise, 117 will be the last RPM podcast.
But tomorrow is Halloween. I live on a dead end street now. But when I grew up, my mom still lives in the house I grew up in. She gets anywhere from about 50 to 100. 100 at the most. She usually gets around 50 trick or treaters. I only get 5 or 6 here at this house. Josh, are you expecting any trick or treaters? Are you taking your son trick or treat?
My parents, I don't think got any last year. We got a good handful. I mean, my street isn't the busiest street in town for it. But we do get a few people. I mean, we decorated and all that.
That's cool.
We'll take him out. I'll take my son out on our street, and then we're gonna go like a street over, and that's where it's usually a little bit busier. So
what we actually do at my mom's house, because we notice a lot of kids will walk by our street and look down. If they don't see a lot of lights, they don't walk down there.
Mhm.
So we actually take a strobe light and put it out front on our sidewalk. So when the kids are walking down Main Street, they look down there and they see the strobe light, and it brings them right down the street, and they come trick or treating. Yeah.
Oh geez, bugs to
Yeah.
bug zapper. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, we put a strobe light out, and we noticed the years we put the strobe light out, she gets more trick or treating than years that don't. Another cool story about Farmingdale, there was a guy. He would just walk around on Halloween, and the guy was a sheetrocker for a living. So Josh, you know these sheetrocking guys? They have like stilts. They would sheetrocker. So he was a professional sheetrocker. So he had the stilts, So he would look like Frankenstein, and he had long pants covering the stilts, and he would just walk around the town like all night. It'd be like 10 o'clock at night, and you just look down the street and you see this 7-foot guy walking around, and he wouldn't talk to nobody. He wouldn't say nothing. It was the coolest thing ever, man. Oh. Some years he dressed like Frankenstein and do it. Sometimes he dressed like a scary clown. That's when I was a kid. And just in recent years, when I would take Thomas, my son, over to Farmingdale to go trick or treating, and me and Nancy would walk around too, just checking things out. And there was a guy walking around as a ghost. He wouldn't talk to nobody or say nothing. He would just run around as a ghost, and he'd run around all night. I'm telling you, Farmingdale was a great place for trick or treating. The churches would have contests, like Halloween contests and parties, and the firehouse would do something. The pizza place in town would give out slices of pizza. It was a lot of fun in that town, trick or treating.
I honestly, like Tom's River, if you went to like the right little suburbia area where you could go house to house or whatever, it wasn't so bad. Like my parents' street, because of the farm, it was a hike, so it was like, all right, see your neighbors. Okay, now we're gonna go over to Nana's neighborhood and trick or treat there or something like that.
I do have some experience trick or treating in Tom's River, because we live right in Manchester, and they would do it tonight. They're doing their trick or treating tonight because they have a big parade in town on Halloween itself. Mm-hmm. We would take Thomas. You know where the Retaco Center is? That was at Tom's River North or whatever. Yeah, right. If you're going down that road towards 37, that first development on the left, there's some really nice houses back in there. We would take them over there because they would all set up big and fancy there, and they would have parties, and the houses were all decorated. The one guy had like cars up on like jack stands, and it looked like the car fell off a jack and crushed a guy. Oh. He was like really laying under there. So you think it's a dummy. You walk up and he'd start moving and stuff. I mean, they did a really good job over there.
That's awesome. Actually, last year, we had in Waretown, they had like a car accident scene with blood and a dummy laying on the hood kind of thing. And the cops got called several times because of it. And then it actually made national news. And hearing about it on, and people were complaining, saying it was too graphic or whatever. And honestly, it really wasn't that bad. And it was like 2 streets over from me. And it's like, cool. Waretown, the big scene.
Now, Sam, what about your college? Is there any like Halloween parties going on down at the college or anything?
He's not privy to them.
I was about to say, I'm not that I'm invited to, but that's okay. That is okay. Real quick, growing up, Middletown's a pretty well populated area. I live on such a busy street that there were no sidewalks or anything, so no one would come trick-or-treating in my house. So what my mom would do is buy all this candy, and I learned rather quickly, hey, why walk around all day with a pillow sack carrying all this crappy candy when your mom had a big old bowl of premium candy at home you could just sit down and watch racing with? So that's what we did.
No,
that's what I did.
Yeah.
I can't relate to what you guys are. You got to think smart. You got to be. Maybe I was just a lazy.
Hey, I'm surprised you're that thin. I'm surprised you're that thin. If that was your way of doing it.
Yeah. I fast 11 months out of the year. Then come Halloween time, I just stuck as many Kit Kats in my mouth all at once.
We're gonna probably wrap up the show with Halloween candy again.
But say we really should get into racing now, because we spent the last 20 minutes talking about candy and sticking stuff in our mouth.
All right, well, where are you guys? I mean, there's nothing really local. I was supposed to race down to Bridgeport with the Enduro cars, but that got rained out. Yeah, rain. And they did the smart thing. They had the racing was scheduled for Friday and Saturday, and they had the Sunday rain date, and Sunday was looking good with no rain, but it rained so much on Saturday, and that it was just flooded down there, and they couldn't get the show in on Sunday either. So we got washed out down there. I did watch the truck race, and as I predicted on the last episode, I picked Johnny Sauter to win the truck race, and he did win. Josh picked Norm Benningen for the big win, and unfortunately, Norm didn't qualify. I hate seeing that. And we touched on this a little bit. I think there was 35
How's bragging
trucks for
camp
32
going?
spots. Just start them all. Why send those 3 guys home?
Yeah.
And to top it off, next year they're going to start less. I think they're cutting down to 30, and the nationwide's going from the Xfinity's going from 40 to 38 or something like that.
Do you think they're trying to make the spots more coveted?
I don't know. I don't know why.
It's a bad series to do that in.
Right.
Yeah.
Very bad idea.
I
don't know why
agree.
they keep cutting the fields. I guess to try to save a little money, but really, who cares about those couple extra spots? They can afford to pay that, It's almost like they're doing it to show, oh, we got full fields. We got full fields. No, you don't. You don't have full fields. You're cutting them back. You know what I'm saying?
They do that with the college program by me. They're like, oh, it actually I was in a civil engineering program, and they were saying, well, we need to kill this program because look at this class. There's only 7 people in it. Yeah, because it was an overflow that they had to add because the other one filled up, but they were just trying to show the bad parts of it to get their way. You know what I'm saying? You can make statistics say whatever you want, kind of crap.
I just feel bad for a guy like Norm Benning. He goes to every single race, and and a reason why they get bigger fields at Martinsville is a lot of these
Aero
younger
doesn't
kids,
matter.
Well, no, Aero doesn't. You're right. It's later in the year, so maybe like a late model team say, "Hey, man, our season's done. Let's get a truck together. Let's go over there and try to qualify." And plus, you get these kids that are young. They have to run a half mile before they're allowed to run like a mile or a mile and a half. So they have to go to Martinsville. So that's another reason you get a few extra trucks there. I just feel bad for a guy like Norm Benning who didn't make the race after supporting the series all year. I mean, you can easily say, well, it's Norm's problem. He should get faster and be able to qualify, which is true. But start them all, man. There was 35 trucks there. Start them all.
Yeah, who are you?
Especially after the weather, too. I mean, they had no practice or nothing. So let's say, all right, don't kill yourself. They went right in the time trials with no practice whatsoever. And that's when you say, listen, there's 35 of you showed up. We're starting off 35. Don't kill yourself in time trials. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who are they really going to hurt by starting the extra cars?
Right.
And like you said, they can afford that.
Right.
And especially if you look at the stands on Sunday, looked pretty good. I mean, not packed, not jam packed. I mean, you still had a little bit of room, but it looked good.
They should be packed.
They should be.
They should be. They should be. Because the fact that Watkins Glen and Infineon damn near sell out every year now, and we can't even get Bristol and Martinsville sold. No offense to Martinsville. Martinsville is probably by far my favorite track they go to. The fact that we can't even sell out Martinsville anymore shows you the
But there again, I'm not defending NASCAR, and you're 100% right, Sam. The weather wasn't great down there.
No. Listen,
they didn't get the walk-up crowd that they usually get on nice days, and a lot of people aren't buying their tickets in advance. They wait to see what the weather's like, and then they have a walk-up crowd. If they just
you kind of don't blame them. I mean, if you're going to be putting out money, if I wanted to pay $100, just shy of $100 a ticket for Dover. I want to make sure I'm going to go. Not, what if I'm not able to call out of work or something like that? I can't afford it. I don't want to just toss out that money.
No, Sam, how far are you from Martinsville? You're not that far.
I was in the process of Googling that right now.
Yeah, I think you're only like 2 hours.
2 hours away. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear any buzz? Any of your friends at college going or anything like that? I know you were working.
Most of my racing buddies actually worked with me this weekend at GoPro. Right. So a lot of them said that they weren't working with me this
Justin
weekend.
went.
Yeah. No crap. He raced the damn thing, didn't he?
Just making a point.
He just tweeted that he's looking forward to the rematch with him at Texas Motor Speedway. So we wish our friend Justin Fontaine good luck this coming weekend at his final race at Texas Motor Speedway.
I saw a notification for Twitter on that, and then I didn't get to click on it because my phone had to do an update. It must think it's an Apple product or something.
Speaking of Apple, they released their cool computers today. So
no, they didn't.
That T2. All right, whatever. I quit. I quit. Leave me alone, my dirty sheets here at UNCC. God. Anyway,
I'm broken.
So I didn't get to watch the race. I was thinking about going to Talladega a few weeks ago when my brother Nick was in town, but with the weather with Hurricane Michael down there, I didn't make the show. But I think that was about a 5-hour drive from here to my campus. But what
That's
Scott
not that
brought up,
bad.
no. It's like we're in the middle of everything. The only thing we're really missing out on down here is being away from New York City, and some people could see that as a benefit. Some people could see that as
I would call that a benefit.
yes.
Definitely.
So, but Martinsville, the truck race is probably my favorite race of the year. It used to be Martinsville and Atlanta, the truck race, but I looked at Talladega after the truck race. It costs $45 per ticket to go see the trucks at Talladega.
Oh wow, that's steep.
That is a lot of money considering Kyle Busch doesn't really make a lot of races anymore.
That
as much
doesn't
as he used to.
That doesn't bother me.
$45 for a truck race?
For a truck race at Talladega, the trucks. Hang on.
Listen,
The only downside for me is that the trucks run fewer laps, so you get a little bit less time.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think a fair price for the truck race is like 20, 25, maybe 30, stretch to 30. I think 45.
I don't know. I would pay
$15 for college students?
Especially with 32 trucks. Here we go again. If they had 35 or 40
Well, at Talladega,
trucks,
they have more.
$45.
If Norm Benning was in the Martinsville
Right.
race, I'd pay $45 to watch
I tell you
the
what,
damn race.
I watched the truck race at Daytona. Me and Nancy sat in the Grand one night and watched the truck race in Daytona. With only 32 trucks out there, it doesn't look like many cars out there, on
They
that
look
big
like
track.
NASCAR looks like a bunch of. Oh, you know what? Here we go. NASCAR looks like a bunch of idiots when they do this crap because they're castrating themselves, and then in 5 years from now, when NASCAR's not around, we're gonna be like, well, I wonder what happened. Well, we had 40. We used to have 57, 60 cars trying to qualify for Daytona 10 years ago. Now they can barely get 35 to make the damn
Oh,
show.
Scott, does your book talk about was it Talladega or Daytona when the
I heard about
no, it was Talladega with the when the drivers were trying to organize their union and there was a strike, so a lot of the big names didn't race.
That was at Talladega.
Yes, Talladega.
Yeah.
Is that in your book?
But really, what set that off is they were blowing tires at that speed, and it was a
Right,
safety
the
thing.
tires weren't safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelin, blah blah blah. Put a chicane in the turn.
And
No.
I think that's the reason why Bobby Allison says he has more wins than Darrell Waltrip. I think he ended up winning that race, but then they didn't give him the credit for it because they ran the Grand American cars instead of the Cup cars in that race.
Yep, they ran
He
the
ran this
Busch
Grand
years,
American
whatever.
car and won it,
But
but it was
they're-
still a Cup race. He says he should have 85 wins and not be tied with Darrell Waltrip on the all-time win list.
Ooh, that would piss me off.
Yeah, he's tied, and he say they didn't credit him for that win because of the strike.
I
and
thought
the-
Ricky Rudd was tied.
Yeah. Tied.
Oh man. Oh my. I just lost my appetite.
I can get you some Tide Pods.
Oh. Clean the palate. Anyway, I watched the finish of the truck race. Scott, no offense, it was a no-brainer to pick Johnny Sauter, especially in the truck
Killed him,
series.
man.
The guy is cleaning house over there, and I give him credit for it. But
And
Johnny
he's a short
Sauter-
track racer. I mean, he comes from a short track racing family. And Joe Shear, Joe Shear Jr., his crew chief, he's from a short track background too. I read that Gary Ballou book, and Joe Shear Sr. was a big time late model racer, and Joe Shear is his son. So I mean, yeah, they're short track through and through. I mean, they went to Martinsville, cleaned house.
He's not afraid to throw bows, which is why he wins the short track races.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Scott, real quick, you mentioned the whole licensing, and I remember vaguely Dominic Casola. I think was he got his license to do mile and a half tracks or something like
Right.
that through NASCAR's. Now, that's fine through NASCAR if you're going to run the race. I also know that like if you go to Millville, even just to run their go-karts, you need to get like a day license, or you can get your track license as well. When you did your Daytona experience, other than the cost of, the experience, did you have, I'm sure there was some waivers and paperwork. Was there anything that they like kind of called a track license or any, thing
Not
like
that I remember now.
Okay. I wasn't sure because the tracks and how they're owned and insurance, and I just wasn't sure if
Yeah.
Scott technically had a super speedway license for
No,
a
I
day.
told you guys when I did. There was like a guy like 87 years old doing it. Remember I told you that
Yeah.
story? So
He got to do it. So
You got to do it.
At GoPro Motorplex, the go-kart track that I work at down here, you need to have a profile set up, and in order to race on the track, you need to be a licensed driver. Just a little fun fact.
Real quick, Sam, that you mentioned the GoPro Motor Complex, whatever you want to call it. Well, I know that's a newer facility, but was there a racetrack or anything there beforehand, or did they actually clear like property and build it?
Mm. It used to be called, I think, the Mooresville Motorplex, and then when GoPro came in, they did what they did to it. But from my understanding, they had the track built. The track's brand new. They modeled that track off of Motorama or something like that, some track in Italy. Really nice track. If any of you guys are in the Lake Norman area, up in New Jersey or anywhere listening to the show, I highly recommend you come out and visit us at GoPro Motorplex. And they're not paying me to say that. I've been to a lot of karting facilities in my short tenure with the WK, and it is probably the best. Oof, I shouldn't be saying this, but it's probably the best track I've gone to.
Now, just out of curiosity, do they have enough room in that property to maybe make like a regular racetrack for regular cars?
So I've heard.
I love how he calls it a regular racetrack.
Well, believe it or not, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s was it graveyard?
Yeah.
Is actually like a mile behind the track.
Oh, really?
So there's a lot of property behind the track. From my understanding, the guy who built the track, I think, kind of regrets not building two tracks because there's a lot of space out there. Because that place is a gold mine, man. You have people driving 2 hours just to come race 20 minutes on the track. Really, really nice facility. Really good guys, and they know what they're doing over there. But I don't think they plan on building an actual track anytime soon over there. But they really should. It's a really nice area up there in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Hey, Millville was supposed to have that tri-oval.
The oval, whenever someone builds a motor complex, the oval's always the third stage, and that third stage never happens.
Yeah.
Well,
it's always like the road course, motocross track, drag strip, oval, and the oval never happens.
Well, you know what it is though, down here, especially in North Carolina, they have so much competition with the oval stuff that I think building an oval racetrack out there would probably hurt like Hickory, Bowman Gray, which I know Josh probably would be a fan of anyway. But a lot of the tracks in the area to do such a thing.
I tell you what, speaking of Bowman Gray, they had their show back on TV last night. It was good. It was real good. I really enjoyed watching it. Tim
Brown's a nice guy. So is Burt Myers.
Yeah.
I think the show was a little dramatic.
I see. I don't think it was as bad as the original Madhouse. I think they cut out a lot of the fighting. I don't think it was as. I don't think they're going for that angle like they did.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. They're trying to keep it from being more of a circus than the Madhouse show was.
I'm going to boycott it until you guys say that there's actually like serious. They're showing that. I think part of the reason it's hard to make a good racing movie. Now, look, we've all watched and loved Days of Thunder, Six Pack. All right, go.
I hate Days of Thunder. Tom Cruise is such a. Oh.
Okay, all right, but
I like Days of Thunder. I thought it was pretty good.
We all quote it and all that, but I think it's difficult to make a.
Loose is fast.
Yeah, Sam, when you get to be a driver at some point, I'm a former driver now, unless I can make magic happen for Turkey Derby. But
Sam, do you know the difference between loose and tight?
Yes, I do.
Loose is when you
have
yourself hitting the wall. Tight is when you see yourself hitting the wall.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's fair, man. Hey, listen, I've had plenty of years, ample amount of time behind the wheel of my Logitech G27 playing NASCAR 09 back in the day. So I may not be at the Scott Riggleman status, but I'm not a stranger.
It's so different when you feel it, though.
I tell you what.
I got to get the feels.
The thing I liked about I don't even know what they're calling that show on Discovery now. It's not the Madhouse anymore, right? It's something like Race Night or something like that. It's called. See what the official name of it.
It was something stupid like that.
But anyway, the one thing I really liked about it, they were at Tim Brown's shop when he was setting the car
up.
Race night.
At Bowman Gray.
Yeah, they were at Tim Brown's shop when he was setting the car up. And I just like watching how he did it because a lot of things he was doing is the way I do my car. And then I noticed a few things he does different than when I scale my car and set it up that I kind of like the way he did it. So, if you do watch closely and don't pay attention to the drama and the fighting and stuff, as a racer, you can learn a little bit because they're taking you right into their shops while they're setting the cars up.
See, now that I would watch for because that's where it does something. And
you're boycotting it and you can't learn it.
Until you tell me stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then
I can flip flop. I'm a presidential candidate.
We were watching it last night, and Nancy really liked
Yikes.
the color of Jason Meyer's car, and she said, "Man, I really like that color. I really like that color." I said, "Well, the Myers, Burt Meyer and Jason's Meyer's father, Gary Myers, he owns a body shop down there, and that's where they make their regular
Wait,
living off of."
Jason, and please tell me there's a Michael Myers.
This
This is the Halloween episode.
Hey, I had a guy. I grew up with a guy named Bill Hammer. He named this kid Jack. He had Jack Hammer as a son. So, and he said if he ever had another kid, he was going to name him Tack, but he never had it. He was going to have Jack and Tack Hammer.
God.
But anyway,
I know a
that's
Mike
whole nother
Michelson.
I used to go out with a girl named Lori Webb before she was dating me. She was going out with a guy named like David Cobb or something like that. And they almost got married. It was going to be like Cobb Webb. Thought that was pretty funny. But anyway.
The Halloween special. Look at that.
But anyway, Nancy really liked the way Jason Meyer's cars looked. She liked the color of the paint.
The
And I said,
black and orange?
I'm sure he knows the paint code on it. They own a body shop. And she messaged him last night, and he messaged her back this morning and said, yeah, it's, dark 2018 Ford dark red, and had the paint code and everything for her. So he responded back to her right away. So that was pretty cool.
So is that what she's going to do?
Probably.
Okay.
Talking about paint schemes and stuff, I think Tim Brown has one of the old Penske haulers, and those Penske haulers have that metallic, that chrome. Oh, it's and he has it all done up with his 83 and everything. Oh, it's such a gorgeous hauler. I don't know why we're talking about this. We really should be talking about Joe Logano winning.
I can see Dan
Martinsville.
Thomas already like rolling his eyes as soon as Sam said paint scheme. Yeah, it's called a livery now.
Liveries. Liveries.
Liver mushery.
And my kidneys.
All right. Anyway, so we did mention Martinsville. We did talk about the truck race.
We did.
A little bit somewhere in there. I think we did. I'm losing track. On the Cup side, I did get to see. I did do some house repairs, but I did get to see most of the beginning and definitely most of the end. And I will say, you had your kind of who you would expect up front. Boyer was doing pretty well after his win.
I picked him, and he spun out. Damn it.
Yeah, well, he did get a little help, but it was. I mean, that's Martinsville. I was pulling for him. I was, and Truex having to start in the rear after a post-qualifying inspection failure.
There was a few of them that had to do that. I think Jimmy Johnson was another one that had to start in the back.
Yeah, those two idiots. I was just trying to get a reaction out of Sam. Anyway, yeah,
I'm saving it later.
For them to go from the back all the way to the front, well, at least Truex. I mean, Truex did lead at some point. That was, I mean, that's a show of who they are and what they're capable of. Which, I mean, like they had said, they don't seem to run. Everybody says they don't run well at Martinsville. They can't do it. Blah 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 blah. And they proved that they can run at Martinsville. And they ran really damn well. Currently, Truex is plus 25 points, I believe, to the good to be in the next round.
He's still safe. I mean, it sucked that he didn't get the win, but he still finished third. It's not like he got dumped and finished 33rd or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's still got to cross the line and finish third, so he's still in good shape for making the Final Four.
It kind of sucks that he finished third. Like he should have had second there, but he got slow from going sideways.
He complained about Joey bumping him up into the high groove and Joey getting underneath him, but Martin still could have won that race. He still could have beat him up off the corner, and he got loose. He got on the throttle too hard and got loose.
I think he was trying to pinch Joey down.
Right,
and that commitment to hold him down, and Joey said, "No, I'm not having any of that." And
a few years back, Jeff Gordon did that to Jimmy Johnson and got underneath him, but Jimmy Johnson still got the run off the corner on the outside and still beat Jeff Gordon to the line. So I mean, I think it was a great race. I don't blame Joey for what he did, and I don't blame Martin for being mad either. But it was a great race. I mean, he didn't dump him; he just hit him and pushed him up, and Martin still had a shot to win that race.
He did.
At least Joey got the job done, unlike Jimmy Johnson at the Roval.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give you that, Sam. Now, the thing is, one of the big complaints is everybody who's whining and saying, but it's the bump and run. It's one, that's, you have to expect it. You can't complain about it.
Don't get me started.
It was a bump. It was a bump.
No, Josh. If you want to call that a bump and run, good golly, then I'm the I don't.
but-
I
all right.
agree. I agree. That was the bump and run. I mean, he bumped him going in the corner, knocked him out, and took off. You know what I'm saying?
It was more like, excuse me, I'm gonna come through and take the win. It wasn't anything.
Sam, how many races have you run?
You know, I'm a Martin Truex fan, and Martin did say I passed him clean. I passed him clean. I mean, Martin did get into him a few times when he was underneath him too. You know,
What
He didn't
Truex
move
has
him
is-
though. I think he let him know.
Yeah.
That he
That's
was
what
there. He
I'm
didn't move
saying.
him.
It's Barnesville. What happened to the whole? I'm gonna move your ass.
No,
and
no,
take
no,
the
no,
win.
no. We're talking about Truex. Truex
Yeah.
let Joey know that he was there. Joey said, "Now I'm going to move you out of the way." And
Oh, okay. All right, whatever.
and my argument is, I don't like, and almost everybody does it. Going into the turn, you get wailed from the back. You know, if the faster guy's behind you, that's great. That's great. I'm not going to give up my line. I don't like when they just wail you to run you up the track and get you out of the way. I don't like that.
See, sometimes when I'm in that situation, I actually go in easier because I know I'm going to get hit. I know it. So why go in there and be
I'll
on
check
the
up
edge?
earlier.
Yeah, I slow down, so I have the car underneath me. So when they do hit me, it doesn't knock me out of my groove. And I just, as soon as they hit me, then I gun it and take off because now they're stopping because they hit me and I'm taking off.
And you got
know?
the energy from them, and now you
Yeah,
can launch
right.
from it.
So
yeah.
I mean, Martin could have played it a little different too. He couldn't anticipate that was coming, you know. But he said he didn't because he figured he ran Joey so clean that he didn't have nothing like that coming. And
Yeah.
You're starting to sound like Jeff Burton. You know, Jeff Burton always raced everyone so clean, and then when Jeff Burton got moved, I'm not trashing Jeff Burton. I love Jeff Burton. I'm just saying, if Truex Jr. wants to win the championship, oof, I really shouldn't be saying this, but he really should be growing a pair because he's going to get moved because everyone is out to get him because he's probably going to win again if they don't do anything.
All right, but now here's the thing. From my end, I saw a few complaints that that Truex should have just stayed low, not completed the pass.
right.
And then Joey couldn't have bumped him because he would have been stuck on the outside. Scott, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah,
tactic?
I mean, I mean, Martin did have the preferred line. I mean, of course, when you're racing, you're going to clear him as soon as you can. But he could have rode like that until the last lap and then cleared him. You know what I'm saying? Like
Cleared him coming off the.
Yeah,
off the
I think there is something to that. I think Martin, you maybe in hindsight now could have said, you know, he passed him too soon. Kind of like the old days with the slingshot at Daytona. You know, you don't.
Oh, you got to
pass
time
him.
it right. Yeah.
Yeah, time right. He could have waited for the last lap and then tried to clear him. Then that might have worked for him, but you just never know. I mean, but Martin said it. Martin said, "Listen, I passed him clean. I didn't think he would do it. Once I cleared him, I thought I was safe because I raced him clean, and I didn't think that was coming. You know."
I think he's saving all this for Homestead. So when he just starts drilling everybody in Miami, he's going to be like, you know what? That was payback for the Roval, Jimmy Johnson. That was payback for Martinsville, you squinty
Yeah. Yeah.
eyed fool.
Squinty
You know what I'm
eyed
saying?
D-bag.
I
Yeah.
tell you what, though, it was nice to see some emotion out of the crew chiefs too, because sometimes you watch this sport and you don't see much emotion from these guys, and you almost
Like
think
another
it's
day
just
at the
a job.
office, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right, Josh. You said it perfect. And I tell you what, when they were interviewing Cole Pern after the race, he was physically trembling, shaking. He was so pissed off, you know. And it was good to see emotion like that. You know, it just shows that they care, and that they do care, and they are racers. It's just not a job to them.
It's good for NASCAR. It's good for the sport to see action and finishes like that, especially because the guys didn't get wrecked at the end. There were dents and donuts and everything else on the side of the car.
Coming down to the line, it was awesome. They were 3 wide because now Denny Hamlin's going down low and trying to clear them too. I mean, it was awesome. I remember when I was a kid in 1981. Richie Evans and Jeff Bodine had a race going like that. They were beating the heck out of each other, and they went across the line. And Richie Evans was on 3 wheels going across the finish line. It kind of reminded me of a race like that, you know.
Who is it for the? It's one of the most famous clips coming to the line for the $1 million, like the first No Bull million. Who was in the Tide car?
Darrell Waltrip.
Was it?
It was Waltrip or Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd, yeah. That was at Darlington or something, wasn't it?
Come on, I wasn't even alive when this happened, gentlemen. Step up.
Sam, this was in the mid to late 90s, Sam.
Yeah.
Wait, what year were you born, Sam?
97.
Okay, you might not have been alive. But I'll have to find it. I'm going to get yelled at. I'm going to get some of the crap.
Are you talking about when Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch went across the line side by side like that?
Yeah, they're just banging off of each
I
other.
think that was Darlington, right? That was the $1 million race at Darlington or something like that.
Yes, I believe so.
That was 2003.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. It was a Pontiac, I remember. And it was that little bump out on the Pontiac nose.
Josh, come on. That was Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch. Come on.
I haven't been sleeping.
That was the Cal Wells team. Remember that team, Cal Wells?
No, I don't.
Yeah, he owned that 32 Tide car that Ricky Craven was driving.
That's no longer the closest finish in NASCAR anymore, I think.
Oh, probably not now, but that was a similar style finish where the banging off of each other coming to the line. Are they going to make it?
You know what? I've grown not to care if we're going off tangent, but can you imagine being like the Pontiac designer of that car after that race and being like, hell yeah, guys, we won that race. That stupid kick out nose. Yeah,
exactly.
High fives all around. Let's drink some Tide.
But it was exciting. It was certainly exciting. Yeah, I would have preferred for Truex to get the win. Now, they said that Logano was stopping on the backstretch or going into 3 to let them move the portable stage in on the front stretch. Other people said it was to protect him from the fans that were.
I tell you what, it sure seemed that way, didn't it? They stopped the intersection where there was no stands because I tell you what, those people, they were going nuts in the grandstand, which is cool. Pull them on the front straight or let them throw their seat cushions at them and some ice cubes and stuff. You know, who cares, man? Let's make it exciting. They were smart to keep him away from Martin because Martin was pretty fired up. You know.
Can we just also realize that Cole Pearn and Martin Truex Jr. are both still trying to qualify for a job next year?
They have a job. They just haven't announced it yet. You know.
Well, I don't know. I don't know exactly if they're going to be together still. I mean, I'm sure Cole Pearn wants to be Truex.
They're going as a team. You know.
He almost said couple.
No. They're going as a team because they're a winning combination together, you know.
Yeah, I believe so. But yeah, so either way, what a finish! It was exciting, and the thing is, people are talking about it. That's what NASCAR needs. Is the interest in it? So
they need more short tracks. Forget this Roval stuff. Just put them back on short tracks.
Whoa! I didn't mind the Roval.
I didn't mind the Roval either, but let's not have 10 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'd say keep the Roval, and skip a normal Charlotte race,
Right. But I don't want to see Pocono have a Roval. I don't want to see New Hampshire have a Roval. Like, let's not get crazy.
New Hampshire's a pretty cool road race.
As much as I love Daytona,
it is a cool road course.
I actually wouldn't mind the Daytona road course.
Whoa, time out.
I'm just saying I wouldn't mind that one, but I like Daytona.
This isn't Formula One. This isn't Indycar. Come on.
Exactly. Put these cars through what they're not supposed to. I mean, that's the whole point. That's what makes Enduro so much fun, right, Scott?
Right. My head hurts.
Especially when you don't have a Holly carburetor.
You know what's funny about that Holly carburetor thing, Josh? Don't even get me started because they used to try to fight me with this up. So I finally bought a Rochester carburetor and went up there and took my Holly off and still beat them. But those old Chryslers that they race up there, they run Holly 4-barrels, but they came stock on the Chryslers. You know what I'm saying back then? So I was going to say something on that Facebook thing because when they started saying no Holly carburetors whatsoever, I'm like, yeah, what's the old Chrysler's going to run? Because that's what they came with. You know?
Yeah. I'm not doing it to try to, but he's like, oh, well, you can run with the factory stocks. I'm like,
but you know what's funny about that?
Tires, everything.
They don't want us to run a Holly 2-barrel up there, but we can probably a Quadrajet 4-barrel. It makes no sense, because that's what came stock on those cars. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It makes no. I went out and just bought a Rochester 2-barrel and I put it on it. It worked just as good as the Holly. It's just they're hard to adjust.
Okay.
Once I got to adjust it and the float level where I wanted it flowed just as good as the Holly.
Actually, I have Steve Lynch let me borrow a Rochester, and it's in my dad's garage. I have to get it back to him at some point. It's just been kind of like living there for a while.
Let's move on because nobody has any idea what we're talking about right now, Josh.
Yeah, they don't.
That honestly though, for Sam and probably for Eric, it's not as good of a talk. But for drivers that listen, when we talk about some of the more technical aspects, like what's holding the axles in, I like those talks, Scott.
Oh, I do too. But right now, no one knows we're talking about the Enduros at Evergreen and what was going on Facebook.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, you have to follow us. All right. So, where did Boyer end up finishing?
Not very well. Yeah, he dropped back.
Something like that, because he was my pick in the suicide pool, and that didn't end well.
No,
Let
it
me see.
didn't.
Let me see. Let me see. Was it 21st? Yeah, 21st.
Where'd Kurt Busch end up? Because he was running good too, and he fell back a little bit.
Kurt Busch finished. Dead air. Dead air. Dead air.
Did he have a Holly carburetor?
Kurt Busch. He finished 6th.
All right.
That's not bad.
Jimmy Johnson finished 12th. Hey, you want to know what? I haven't been on the show in like a month. Screw you and you, Scott, for dissing Jimmy Johnson because y'all didn't talk about his comeback at Talladega.
What comeback?
Yeah. Yeah, what comeback?
He
Oh.
spun. He spun at Talladega.
Spin out at Talladega. That's first of all.
Because of Jimmy Johnson.
But no, you're right. He did come back. I think what he
He
finished
came back at Talladega. He had a great run at the Roval. He
Had a great run at the Roval.
Dover, he probably would have ran well. Josh, you have my 2 weeks.
He didn't run good at Dover. His ball joint fell out.
I was going to say, if he didn't lose his ball joint, he probably would have won the Dover. He finished decent at Martinsville. Granted, he should have won Martinsville. And he should have won Dover. But he's coming to Texas. He has a brand new sponsor for the next 2 years on the car.
Yeah,
The car's
because
purple.
the big sponsor said, yeah, not performing.
Hey, now
Sam, before you blow a gasket, we did see that
carburetor.
Did I seen he does get a new sponsor, and they said sponsor's there for 2 years. But did they say Jimmy's going to be there for 2 years?
So this is what I was confuzzled with this past when the news was let out that Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson, and Lowe's were all going to be in the car until 2020, and then all of a sudden Lowe's dropped the contract, and then Chad was moved from the 48. So Jimmy signed on until 2020.
Okay, good.
So I don't know if that's to drive a cup car. Could he retire, come next year, and be a coach for the team, or be a part owner?
They announced that.
I don't know.
They pronounce it Ally, but it's spelled like Alley, right? A-L-L-Y.
You know what's funny? Fun fact. So for those who don't know, I'm a finance major here at UNC Charlotte. I actually applied for an internship with those guys last month. So I was very happy to see they're jumping on board the whole 48.
When Nancy was making payments on her car, which is now paid off, she was financed through for that from Alley or
So
Ally.
just for a fun fact.
Is it Alley or Ally? It's Alley, right?
Allah. I wasn't going to go
It's
there.
A-L-L-Y, right?
Yeah.
But I think they were pronouncing it Ally or something like that.
Tomato. My
Yeah.
bed sheets will be purple come January of 2019. Just to let you know. Fun
But-
fact.
Yeah.
But this goes to show you, like, business sometimes ties in with racing. Like, some of the sponsors on my race car, they didn't really sponsor me because, they want to advertise on a race car. It's kind of like a little bit of kickback. Some of these companies I tow for, and move their equipment. Same with this sponsorship with Hendrick Motorsports. He finances his cars through his dealership through this
So
company.
a lot of people don't know that Ally was GMAC, which was a huge sponsor for Hendrick up until 2010.
Okay.
And
I
they
didn't know
left.
Yeah.
And then they rebranded themselves in 2010, dropped the sponsorship, and now they're back.
Yeah, but this shows how Rick Hendrick is using his businesses to get
Oh, yeah.
sponsorship on,
Well-
because through his car dealership, he finances. They finance these. When someone goes in to buy a new car, they finance through Alley,
Right.
and now Alley's sponsoring one of the cars.
And I'm sure Roger Penske is using Pennzoil in all of his trucks. And
Oh,
all
yeah.
of our
No,
dealers.
without a doubt.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, if Rick Hendrick has to pay the bills himself on his race cars, he's going to. I mean, I think the only team right now, and this is me speaking out of my ass right now, I think the only team that's doing well on the sponsorship end would have to be Joe Gibbs. Because, I would say Furniture Row, but Furniture Row's closing down because they have no sponsors.
Who also does good, but I'm sure they do it at a cheaper level, is the 47 and 37. They always seem like to have a ton of sponsorship with the Bush Beans and the
Apparently,
charcoal.
that's like Kroger JTG Racing now. It's like
Yeah.
some spot. It's like it's really weird, really really weird. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Scott. But then think about it. Do the companies have part ownership of the team? Look at BK Racing. See how well Burger King financed that team.
Well, I mean, with 47 and 37, like you said, the one of the major people that owns Kroger, and you notice all the products that they sell in Kroger is on the car. So I'm sure it's like, hey, sponsor our cars and we'll give you better
Right.
shelf space and stuff like that.
Right. Well, look at Stuart Haas. I mean, think about how much you see Haas on all his race cars. And in reality, at the end of the day, they're not paying anything to go on those race cars. They're just using empty space.
Right.
It just shows you how much Ford is giving Stuart Haas Racing to kick everyone's ass this year. If Stuart Haas Racing doesn't win the championship this year, they got to figure something out.
But
I tell you what, I'm hearing the reason why Haas is doing so, Stuart Haas is doing so well this year is they said that Formula One program is really helping their
Yep.
NASCAR program.
Yep.
in what? Their wind
Technology.
tunnel testing is
Yeah,
saying, hey,
this technology. Yeah, just they said that by learning a lot from Formula One and transferring that knowledge over to their NASCAR teams has really put them ahead with their NASCAR teams. And they're ahead, man. Those cars are stout everywhere they go. I mean, we're coming into Texas where Kevin Harvick runs very well. And then we're going to Phoenix where Kevin Harvick wins all the time, so I think we're going to see a lot more Stuart Haas in these next two races.
4 out of the 8 spots are Stuart Haas cars right now.
Right.
and it's
That's
what,
all
only
set.
one Chevy in there, right?
Chase Elliott.
Ugh.
So, anyway, I'm very happy to see Jimmy Johnson has new colors for next year. Kind of wish it was Gatorade, but you don't get everything you want. So I will be buying
You
more.
wish it
Jimmy
was
Johnson.
gay at a rape? What?
Gatorade.
Gatorade. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you thinking it was going to be Gatorade? Did you have?
I read some stuff on a few of the websites that I'm part of that it was going to be Gatorade. I saw
I
a
tell
lot
you,
of.
that'd be great. When I was a kid, man, those Gatorade 88s were
Yeah.
cool race cars. It'd be cool to see Gatorade back on a car like that.
Well, Gatorade's Pepsi, is it not? Yeah, Gatorade is Pepsi, and Pepsi has sponsored Hendrick Motorsports for a long time,
Right.
and they've always sponsored Jimmy Johnson. So that was one of the far-fetched things I didn't think was gonna. I thought it was gonna play out. I heard Red Bull, but it was just messy, I think Jimmy Johnson doesn't fit the Red Bull mold. I think this is a good fit.
The colors were
fit.
closer.
This is very true. I wouldn't have to buy a new bed sheet.
Did they announce anything like from financial terms? Is it the same money that Lowe's gives, or did they have to take a pay cut? Or
That's funny. I've tried to find stuff on that, and in my short time trying to dig stuff up, I can't find anything.
Right.
So maybe it's, hey, Rick Hendrick, give us a bigger cut of your cars you're selling, and we'll put our purple logo on your car. I don't know. Good
It's-
company though. They're sponsoring NASCAR. We talk about a lot in the show. I buy Hausman Mayo for a reason, so might be getting a new bank service. You know what I'm saying? No.
Credit One Bank?
Yeah, it's the official credit card of NASCAR.
And what's that? What was Kyle Larson's thing? Clover. I didn't see enough of that commercial.
Oh yeah. His purple McDonald's paint scheme was really cool. But anyway, we're going way off tangent, and I don't think.
Oh, Sam, if I were to come down North Carolina, could I stay at your place?
Yeah, for like a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have like one of those? What do they call it? Like not a hall monitor. What?
RA?
You see at a dorm.
Yeah.
Isn't there like someone that looks over your dorm? What are they called?
RAs?
Yeah, RAs. What's that stand for? Resident assistants or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Do you have an RA right there?
Yeah. I mean, he's not with me right now, but he's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
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 Keep
So
saying
you're in
that.
a dorm? You're not in an apartment? You're in a dorm?
I'm in a dorm that has apartment as option. So I'm in a dorm building, but they offer apartments.
That's odd. Anyway, I'll bring my black light with me. So.
Oh. Yeah. Sure.
Then you'll know if you need to get new.
How far are you from Eric Brennan? Is he by you?
15 minutes?
Did you see him over the weekend?
I did. He announced the World Karting Association race at GoPro Motorplex.
How late was he?
He's about 10 minutes late every day, but that's okay.
That adds up. Over 3 days, he was a half hour late.
Yep.
Listen, Scott. I don't make up the rules. That's okay. He's a good
How
announcer.
did you guys do weather-wise though with that race? And did you get hampered by any of the weather? Or were
We
you all right?
did. So, are we done with NASCAR? I mean, I don't want to go on a tangent for nothing. All right, we're done
Oh
with
wait.
NASCAR.
Last question. What about Xfinity?
They were
They don't-
off.
I know.
They don't race
but
on
I
Mars,
know.
though.
Why?
Oh, I get that's a solid question. I don't understand why.
I mean, it just. I don't know. It seems odd to me. I mean, I'll take the
Oh,
trucks, but
I know why. I know why. I remember reading an article about this last year because we brought this up last year on the show.
you
The
did.
amount it costs, yes, the amount it costs to bring the Xfinity Series to a track like Martinsville. Martinsville would rather pay the extra couple whatever it is to have the Sprint Cup guys there, and because the Xfinity races bring about the same crowd as a truck, it is cheaper for a track like Martinsville to bring the trucks and not spend the extra money they bring the Xfinity Series. And logistically too, that track has no.
Plus, I just think NASCAR sees it as, every division needs a break. Is this a good time to give the Xfinity guys a break? I mean, if Martinsville doesn't want them, they can easily take them somewhere else that weekend and race them somewhere else. They could be like,
Right.
Iowa or something like that.
Right. So I know it's because it costs a lot of money. There's a big gap between the trucks and the Xfinity, and because they bring about the same amount of people, the tracks rather take a little bit of a pay cut, and they actually end up making more money by bringing the trucks. And because the trucks are badass, the trucks should be racing at every freaking short track in the country. But NASCAR is
agree.
stupid, so they're not going to do it.
The trucks for me are the most fun to watch.
I was a little disappointed about Martinsville too. With the RPM podcast guys. I mean, we went through a whole Martinsville weekend and never mentioned the train.
I did point it out on the TV to my wife.
Yeah, great.
I did point out the train, and then there was a big announcement, or there was a big to do about the original hot dog supplier is back after a 3-year absence.
Yeah, they had Smithfield in there for a while. Now the Jesse Jones hot dogs are back.
Yes, and so they did a little tidbit on that, which was nice to see.
Did you hear the one press guy said that he doesn't like Martinsville hot dogs, and then Martinsville put up on Instagram that they revoked his press credentials for saying that. I thought that was pretty good.
So needs to be done.
Anyway, the World Karting Association was racing at Gopher Motorplex for our Manufacturer Cup Series. This was the last race of the year. It was a wash Friday, and when I tell you, the rain did not let up. When I got to the track at 6:30 in the morning, and when I left at 6 in the evening, it did not let up. It was relentless. And so the way the WK works, and I'm sure Scott, but for our listeners, we practice all day on Friday. And so it's in the entry fee, so they pay for it. But it costs a lot of money to bring a go-kart out in the rain because you got to tear the whole thing down anyway, just to race back in the dry, as I'm sure you both know.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, no one ended up practicing. We probably got a total of like 8 or 10 karts total out in the day, nonstop making the rounds, and so that was pretty much a wash. It was really, really bad. But then Saturday and Sunday, the weather was okay. As we mentioned before earlier. The weather has been iffy down here for a while now, and so the weekend ended up going by pretty smooth. The first time that I think Eric Graham and I had both experienced, I think we had a total of maybe two ambulances on property and both being occupied. So we were busy this weekend, for sure.
So did you call in?
What's that? You both are talking.
How many carts show up to an event like that?
So we usually have about anywhere between 120 to 140, but because of the weather really hurting us, I think, things like Martinsville doesn't help at all either. When they'd rather go to watch the race than come out and race with us. I think we had about 115 carts, a few walk-ups. But that was the end of that. Yeah, it was a busy weekend to say the least. Eric Graham and I
names racing there, like Ari Londick's kid or something like that.
No, but who does race there on the daily is Lake Speed. Lake Speed's a very nice guy. I've talked to him a few times. Because
he's a religious guy too, Sam. You might want to talk religion with him.
Yeah, Lake Speed's a very good guy. Actually, I had to remind him to put a transponder on one of the GoPro karting challenges, and he came. He's like, "Yeah, when you get old, you just kind of forget things like that."
He's one hell of a kart racer. I mean,
he is.
He used to race over in Europe and stuff before he raced NASCAR, and he would beat guys like Ayrton Senna and all them. He still kicks butt in there. Like, what division was he racing in the karts? Was he racing with regular karts, or was it like a senior division? Or
he raced the K100 class, so he raced with guys my age and a little younger. But yeah, he was still kicking it.
Shifter karts?
No. There isn't really a big shifter. unfortunately, I think shifters are, at least with the WK and stuff like that, it's not as popular as it used to be.
Really, shifter carts used to be a big thing when I was growing up.
Yeah, they're just so expensive. Who pays $15,000 for a go-kart?
Right.
You know, when you could buy a you could buy 4
Winners,
factory
Sam.
stocks for that.
Winners pay that much.
Speaking of that, Sam, does anybody show up with the big haulers, like tractor trailers and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
pretty funny, isn't it?
Yeah, they
They'll pull out like 15 go-karts out of a
Yep.
tractor trailer and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, but you want to know what? I'm not complaining. I'm very blessed to be working for the World Karting Association. We have Daytona coming up. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. If you're interested in racing at Daytona, Margay puts on a great arrive and drive thing at Daytona. Their website's there. We'll have to put it on our Facebook page. We've done it in years past. But you pretty much come out and you race with us. You come out and hang out with Daytona with me and Eric Graham, and it's a great time. Fire ants, great racing, Indycar drivers, NASCAR drivers. I mean, it's a pretty nice, pretty great event. So
maybe I could swing that. When is that, Sam?
it is December 28th to the 30th.
Okay.
20th. Yeah, we have days in Daytona: December 28th, 29th, and 30th. We don't pick them. We get what we get. We don't get upset. You know what I'm saying?
Now, Sam, how do you get down there to work at an event like that? Do you carpool down there? Or do they fly you down there? Or how's that work?
For me,
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough where I guess I'm important enough where they do fly me wherever I need to go.
Oh, wow.
But for most of our corner workers and stuff, we do just get local people. But if you're interested in working an event, call us at the World Karting office, 704-455-1606. There you go.
What is your title with the WKA at an event?
I am the operations coordinator, I think, and I'm also a race director. I am a certified race director.
Oh,
I hate to brag. That's a great opening line with.
Are you higher ranked than our friend Eric Graham?
No. Eric Graham and I are both co-directors. However, sometimes I'm his assistant director because I let him deal with the problems.
Protests are awesome when you're a race director.
But maybe one day I'll race direct an oval track. So any of you guys who need a race director, I'd love to assist in directing an oval track.
Now, did they fly Eric Graham down there, or did Eric Graham drive down there?
Yep, they fly him down here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. The World Karting Association, they're a good group of guys to be with, and a lot of good things going on around there. And we've been around for a long time, and we're making a comeback. So
Hey,
check us out, worldkarting.com.
I mean, I'd have to dig through all my trophies, but I do have a couple of WKA trophies from when I was a kid, so that's how long they've been around. I mean, I think I won my first WKA race in 1987, you know?
I think 1972 we began. Let's see, it should be on my sweatshirt. Maybe it's not. But yeah, check us out, World Karting Association or worldkarting.com, or like us on Facebook, World Karting Association. And while you're on Facebook, you should like the podcast page, Racing Podcast NJ. There you go,
Now,
Josh.
at Daytona, where do you race at Daytona?
We put on 3 events there. We put on the dirt race. We use the old motorcycle track they use out there.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Which really isn't dirt. It's like lime rock or whatever it is. It's not dirt. I can tell you.
Right.
And then the enduro guys use the big track. So if you want to race the high banks, we have that option. And then the Man Cup, the sprint guys race on the camping ground access roads. The track's not the greatest. However, it is one hell of a ride.
It sounds like it's bumpy.
Yes, and we're in turn 3. So
So
I
so
look
you're
up.
saying they run the whole 2.5 mile speedway?
We run the 24-hour course,
Okay.
the road course.
That's cool.
Yep. It's a
So
busy
now, which
weekend.
one's more attended? The dirt, the road course?
Dirt.
The dirt. Yeah.
The dirt.
They get the most carts.
Yes, and we put up money to win the race too, so that definitely helps. And because it's oval racing and it's right outside the track, people can actually really watch it and they can see everything. And the dirt is really, really cool.
See, now I'm gonna. You can go down there and brag like you know something when you go down there. When I was a kid, there wasn't that little dirt track outside of Daytona. They used to race in the town of Daytona at like the municipal stadium. That's where the carts and the motorcycles raced. It was a 1/4 mile track down the street at the Daytona Municipal Stadium, and they did that up until the 90s. And then they did it over to the big track.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good event. I'm going to be very busy between that and school. So if I'm not on the RPM podcast, it's not because I'm getting my sheets dirty. It's because of Daytona and plenty of other exams that I have down here. There you
It's
go.
not because you haven't unpacked your equipment yet.
No, my podcast equipment's always set up. Come on, Scott.
Well, somebody
Anyway.
else hasn't even gotten to his equipment yet.
All right, I guess that's about it for tonight. You want to do what we learned, or do you have anything else? You want to talk Indy cars?
Sam, did you catch up on any? I say we take a short break. How about that? Real short break.
Real quick break.
Is that
Because
okay?
it's already 10:30. Yep.
Is that okay, Sam?
I don't care. Listen, come on back to
You just want to finish up real quick? We're talking these real
No,
quick?
no. We'll finish up real quick after the break.
All right, quick break.
We'll be right back.
Oh my God.
Okay, now don't be mad.
You're listening to the RPM Podcast.
It's not good.
And welcome back, everybody. And we're going to talk IndyCar. Sam, go ahead. Kick it off.
Yeah, because I'm not feeling it. Here you go, Sam.
Real quick before we get into the positive stuff, I believe it was Friday or Thursday. It was publicly announced that give me 1 second here.
I'm
Robert
listening.
Wickens.
Listen, just give me a second. I had a huge
1,
brain fart right now.
2, 3.
I didn't expect this to happen. Did not expect this to happen.
Oh, did Eric propose to you too?
No, that Wickens is paralyzed from the waist down. So I'm sorry to hear that.
Chest down. From the
Wow,
chest
really?
down, yeah.
From the chest down, yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, everybody's, all the articles were saying confirms. And it's like, no, he's been that way since that. It's just that
Right,
he's finally
but
kind of said a word.
Publicly, right. So we're sorry to hear that about Wickens. Great potential race car driver. I mean, just a ball of life. And the one thing I don't like about this is people are acting like he's done. And he might be done behind the wheel of a race car, but I still think he's a great guy to have, a great ambassador of the sport. And I don't think IndyCar is going to be getting rid of him anytime soon.
Well, the spinal cord was not completely severed. It was damaged.
Right.
So he still has a little bit of movement in his legs. Nothing that he can walk on. But he is working out, trying to stimulate that as much as possible to help the nerves kind of redo their thing, and hopefully he'll be able to walk and potentially even drive again. Whether or not he drives a race car, I don't know. It's not good. It's pretty grim, but he's trying, and he's got a lot of good people behind him. So I mean, I'm pulling for him. I hope that it works out, but I can't imagine how much he's going to have to go through to fight to get his legs working again.
I feel bad for him, and it's a horrible injury to have. I also feel bad for Pocono. I mean, now that they have a death on their hands and a guy paralyzed from this race, and they're putting a ton of effort into making this IndyCar weekend race work at Pocono.
Justin Wilson.
Justin Wilson.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah. But I
How
was
soon we forget?
I'm being Sam. I'm forgetting everything. But
So unfortunately, they're putting this big effort into making this IndyCar weekend a big weekend at Pocono. I hope they stick with it because I do like it. Just the last couple of races, they've had some problems. I just hope they just power through it and keep going.
my dad was a little unnerved or shaken up by the whole wreck, since we were there, because he's been to Pocono twice. So he saw that incident, essentially quite possibly career-ending. Luckily he's alive. And the previous one was when Bobby Allison had his bad wreck there.
Oh, wow. 1988.
Yep. So, yeah.
So maybe your dad's stopped going to Pocono. He's bringing these guys bad luck.
Yep. Meanwhile, I'm getting ready to renew my tickets.
On a more positive note, IndyCar has finally made the test. The test was finally here for the circuit of the Americas today. I believe it's going on today and tomorrow, or was it today and yesterday?
I think it's today and just yesterday.
Something like that. I could be wrong. But hey, I'll post the link is posted on our Facebook, facebook.com/racing podcast NJ, and a lot of good reviews to see with IndyCar going to Circuit of the Americas. However, I haven't really seen anything quite yet. Motorsports.com, I posted their article about it all. As for those who don't know, that track is an amazing facility. I was just talking about it to a buddy of mine in my last class. What a great track it is out there in Austin. For you guys up there, to me, I think the trip is about the same from where I'm at right now. But for where you guys are and where majority of our listeners are, if you ever wanted to go to a Formula One race, I highly recommend getting your passport and taking the trip up to Montreal. That racetrack is fantastic. The culture is great. Not saying the track is better than Circuit of the Americas, because the Circuit of the Americas is a really impressive facility. But what I'm just saying is if you ever want to get an F1 race and the whole wine, dine, fancy cheese
Pinky up thing.
Right. Montreal's cool. And you get to go see Canada.
How's the Oreos up there, Sam?
I think we talked about this.
Yeah,
I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked when I asked for French fries and it came out and put people dip their French fries in mayonnaise.
I do. I used to.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
That's big. That's a big thing overseas too, like Holland and stuff like that.
I'm more of a honey mustard guy, but that's besides the point.
I'll dip it in anything.
Speaking of Formula One, they were in Mexico this past weekend. Last week they were in the Circuit of the Americas, but now this week they're in Mexico. We have a new crowned champion, Lewis Hamilton, for the 5th time. Congratulations, Lewis Hamilton. And the whole Silver Arrow team. Wasn't a shocker. Ferrari's kind of been on a collapse. However, Kimi Räikkönen was able to reboost their confidence with the win at the Circuit of the Americas not a few weeks ago. And Max Verstappen takes home the checker flag in Mexico. I didn't get to catch the race. I was working the WK race, but I heard that was a pretty decent race.
Well,
and
here's the thing.
It was good to see Red Bull win.
Verstappen wins with Red Bull. Ricardo, another mechanical failure.
Like I said over break, Josh, is this because they know he's leaving?
Yeah, trying to make him look bad.
Right. I mean, look what you guys do to Eric Brennan, knowing that he was going to leave the podcast. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we
it might not.
We
it
set
might
him up
not
with a girl and all that. And now his life is ruined.
It might not be that they're trying to make him look bad, but they might just look at it as like, let's test some stuff. Let's try some stuff. Let's test some stuff. And sometimes when you test stuff, it breaks.
Yep.
Well, last year I think they were doing that. Like after the championship fight was over, like, all right, well, now we got 4 races to practice and try out some weird, funky stuff for next year because we can finish in the back. It doesn't matter. We're going to get data.
F1 as much as you guys do, but was this the first time Red Bull has won in a while?
Ooh.
No, Daniel Ricciardo won twice this season. Didn't Daniel Ricciardo win Monaco?
Yes. He won Monaco with a damaged car.
Yeah,
the engine wasn't.
That's the guy that runs the number 3.
Yes. Yes, he does a shoe. He takes the shoe and he
oh yeah,
taps
yeah,
it back on the podium. But I don't know, Josh. Now you just watched the video clip. I've been reading a few things. That's pretty much all I got with F1 and IndyCar.
I was just gonna say that also Alonso out early because that's working out great.
McLaren. He's been doing a lot of weird stuff with like Jimmy Johnson and stuff, kind of alluding to the idea that he might be making a stock car appearance. So we'll also have to hashtag stay tuned for that one.
I wouldn't put it beyond. I that absolutely could happen. I think he's willing to do anything to get the hell out of McLaren.
Yeah. Well, on top of that too, I think he realized, and I know you guys like the term to use when it comes to racing champions, washed up, but I don't necessarily think Fernando Alonso. Yeah, a bunch of bull crap. I don't think that Fernando Alonso is washed up. I do think that the competition caught up with Formula One, and I don't think he is going to be able to find a good seat in Formula One to compete the way he should be. So going to IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, I think that's a solid balance of what he's doing. And I do think if he were to actually put all his effort into a stock car career for a little bit, I definitely would see a better future and a better career than Juan Pablo Montoya.
Okay. I could give you that. It's take the talented driver while he still has talent and put him somewhere that he can work. And
a lot of people don't realize that, like, those sponsors on the car, that was it. Nova, whatever it is, that's his clothing company. So if you really think about it, how much is this Fernando Alonso giving McLaren than the other way around, the way it should be? The car, the team should be giving the driver what he or she needs to compete, and not the other way around. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Fernando drop McLaren and see McLaren not perform nearly as well as we've seen in the past couple seasons with Fernando Alonso on board.
Yeah.
So.
I mean they've been kind of back markers if you ask me, and then they're just going to reinforce that with him gone. And it's a shame because I'm not like Nick Rendo Alonso crazy, but he's a good driver. I feel bad for him being stuck in that spot. It's like jail.
Yep.
And
I'd be great that he's making a lot of money being in jail.
Maybe.
And he's driving a race car for a living. So is his life really that bad? No. But as a Formula One driver, yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I hate seeing him stuck, and when he could go do something else. I was listening to I forget what podcast, but I think it was the Hinch and Rossi thing, and they were interviewing Tony Kanaan and talking about him going on for another couple of years now. Like he's not ready to retire, but he's one of the oldest drivers, if not the oldest. And like when will he know when he's ready? And it's probably going to be after he starts his season, gets through some of the initial craziness, and then he'll go, okay, you know what, this is probably going to be it for me. But he said he still would plan on running several 500s after that.
Yep.
Just to be involved. Like he's like, okay, I'm getting older. I think 46, he said.
Yep.
So Sam's my fact checker.
Yep.
We don't pull any of that Fox News crap here. So, but
good God.
But yeah, so it was. I was actually enjoying that show. Anyhow, yeah. It's. What do you think for Tony Kanaan? How many years would you guess he's got left?
I like Tony Kanaan, so I'm gonna be a bit
Tony
biased.
Kanaan too. I think he's a hard racer.
I mean, yeah. You know what? I could see him going to 50.
He's in great shape. I mean,
yeah, he's like Mark Martin. He's like the IndyCar Mark Martin.
Yeah, he really is.
You heard it here first on the RPM podcast.
The IndyCar Mark Martin. Okay. Yeah. So no guesses on how many years he's got left.
Like I said,
50.
Yeah, I'd say at least till 50. 4 years.
All right. Do you think the series is still going to be around?
IndyCar? Heck yeah. IndyCar's on its upswing. Now,
Yeah, I agree with Sam with that. IndyCar is on its upswing.
They hit rock bottom.
But everywhere else it's doing well.
Yeah, they hit rock bottom, so they can only go up. But they definitely made a huge improvement this year with the whole new car and everything. So I think IndyCar's on the way up. I enjoyed the F1 season, and I think they're going to get some sponsorship going on. Maybe someone like Monster Energy will come in and really help the series out.
Okay. I just hope that it all works out and they don't do any shooting themselves in the foot moves like they did with, what was it, the Boston Street Course?
Yep. Or what NASCAR has been doing the last 20 years.
That's what it feels like. The way they let things go. Other than that, on the local side, a lot of rain. However, Scott, Turkey Derby practice, the 10th and the 17th of November?
Yeah, I'm actually missing them. I'm actually leaving, not this Thursday, but next Thursday. I'm leaving to go to Disney, and I'll be on both Turkey Derby practices. But my car's all ready to go. I actually finished it up tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to roll Nancy's car in the shop and put that up on the lift and get her car all ready. This way, when we get back, we're all ready to go for Turkey Derby.
All right. Well, if either of you are feeling under the weather, I'll be around.
Sam, you coming up for Turkey Derby or no?
I was about to say, I got the text message from the boss lady. I will be working Friday and Saturday of Turkey Derby this year. I'm very excited.
I got a phone call from the boss lady too. She needs my services on Saturday with the tow truck, so we'll be working together, Sam.
Look at that, tag team in it. They better watch out on Saturday. I'll tell you that.
If you don't have your underwear on, we're towing you off the racetrack.
Yeah. And if Scott won't hook you, I will.
But tag team.
I'm very excited. Unfortunately, I have an earlier flight on Sunday, so I can't. I've never, since working at Turkey Derby, I've missed the last two demolition derbies. That's actually my most favorite. That's my favorite part of Turkey Derby, and I always miss it.
I tell you
Oh,
what, Spooky Spectacular, she had a 8-cylinder demo derby 1500 to win, and man, they had a good turnout, and there were some good heavy hitting cars. It was a good demo.
that's the way it should be. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
I agree.
I know we're looking at the show, but you want to know what? I know there's a lot of politics behind the demolition derbies, especially now in New Jersey. But all I'm saying, if you're going to put up big money to wreck a bunch of cars, there should be a lot of people that's lined up to do it.
Well, if you want to talk politics, don't forget to vote on next Tuesday.
Got my mail-in ballot.
Yeah. You better send that.
I probably shouldn't have my mail-in ballot right now.
You're running out of time there, buddy.
That's right. So
yeah,
I think that wraps the show up. Are we doing any like special favorite candy or anything today because of Halloween in an hour?
Well, Sam, you're down in North Carolina. Well, Scott's in Manchester. Honestly, I think it'll apply there.
I mean, whenever you dump out your candy bag, you always scramble for the Reese's peanut butter cups first. I don't care who you are.
I was just smacking on a boatload of them before we began the show today.
I'm jealous of both
That's
of you.
because you buy your own because you had no friends to go trick or treating with, so your mom bought your own candy.
Damn straight.
I was gonna say Scott likes the poverty wads. I think.
What's that?
The Mary Jane peanut chews.
I like Mary Jane.
My dad liked them. I can't eat those things.
They're poverty wads. They're like Reese's for poor people.
Yeah.
Yikes.
The people with satellite TV.
Oh man.
Yeah, Reese's is hard to beat. I get crap for it every year, but I like candy corn, so go suck it. What?
I don't know.
You don't like candy corn?
I like Kit Kats, I like Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and I love Smarties.
Okay, I'll give you the Smarties. What are the things? Not the Good and Plenties. What the hell are the things?
Like
Mike?
No. I can't think of them right now. They come in that little. It's like 3 to a pack. They're not Smarties though. Not Spree.
Sweet Tarts?
Yes, Sweet Tarts. Thank you, Sam. No.
End the show now before I throw up.
You can go suck on a now and later then. Those garbage candies.
I do like Good and
but they
Plenties,
are the
and I do
classic
like Mike and
old
Ike's.
school candies, though. You know, it's kind of cool to get them just for something a little different. You know, like remember popcorn balls? You don't even see them anymore.
No, wow, yeah, it's been years since I've seen one of them.
Good old popcorn.
My dad likes the Necco wafers.
Ugh. No offense to your dad.
You know that Necco wafers? They make what Mallow cups or whatever.
Okay.
And they would only make them once a year. Like they would open the factory up and make enough for a whole year. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then they would change the tooling over and make the wafers. You know, like it's a very small candy company. You know, so they would only make certain candies for like a month, and then they would make the allotment for the year, and then they would switch their tooling over and make the other type of candy.
Best if used by.
Yeah, right. It shows you that candy doesn't ever go bad, you know. Do you know what Necco stands for?
Northeast Candy Confectionery Company.
It's confectionery.
Northeast Connection. Confection. Oh my God, I can't
New England.
speak.
Yeah, not Northeast. New
England.
Confection candy.
Garbage area.
But that Necco, they're like the oldest candy company in the country.
1847.
Weren't they? Didn't they just shut down?
Yeah,
Yep,
I think they got
Massachusetts.
pulled out or shut down or something.
Yeah.
Well,
Sam, anything you need to know?
anything I need
Nancy.
to know? Is there anything I need to know right
Yeah,
now?
any
He's a
questions
Reese's
you have?
peanut butter cup addict, so if we dump a candy bag out, I ain't getting a Reese's peanut butter cup. She's scooping. Remember the crunchy ones? When I was a kid, they had the Reese's peanut butter cups, the crunchy ones. They had like busted up peanuts in them. Remember them?
No.
Yeah.
They make them now. They make them now with the crunch.
Yeah. With the
I like
peanuts.
M&Ms too. And Skittles were really good until they replaced the lime flavored ones with freaking green freaking apple. You can keep the green apple and shove it up where the sun don't shine.
Oh my God,
Gosh,
the green
I
apple's
hate-
finally a step in the right direction.
No, it's not. Oh, bring me the lime ones, please.
Well, what are your favorite holidays or holiday seasons? Because I would go with Halloween. Like I treat it as a season, kind of.
Yeah, I love
you
Halloween.
decorate, and I mean it's top level. It's a shame we don't get a day off for it,
Right.
but I love Halloween.
I
That-
love Halloween.
Then probably
Matter of
Christmas.
fact, I love Halloween so much. I told you at the last show, I've been listening to the sounds of Halloween on satellite radio all day in my tow truck.
That's right.
Michael Jackson Thriller, can you really listen to?
Nah, it's cool,
a
man.
lot.
They play all sorts of old sounds and stuff.
And then,
Let's see.
God, that Monster Mash song is from the, 40s or 50s?
Yeah.
Like, that guy died only a couple years ago.
The Monster Mash.
He only died a couple years ago.
I think my favorite season would have to be Easter because I'm biased because I grew up to be Catholic.
Sam.
I love Holy Week. And it's usually right around my birthday time. So that's usually a good time. And the weather's finally coming alive and the pretty pastel colors. It's just an overall great time to be alive when
Fall
it comes to
is
Easter time.
everything's dying, and
Yeah,
it feels,
I'm with you, Josh. I love fall.
All right.
Like I said in last week's episode, I worked at Navy Earl for my first job out of high school, and I used to look forward to fall because everything was dying and they didn't need me to cut the grass anymore, and I got to go on unemployment, So it's like it was like, and it's like I'm brainwashed now. It's still to this day. It's like when fall comes,
Yeah, it cools off because I'm not big on the summer thing, and I'm outside. I've always worked outside, and it'd be hot as balls and everything. And now it's cooling off and nice, and you can go sit around a campfire. Oh, the fall is way better. And then you'll head into the brutal, bitter winter, and I'll still take that because I can hang out on the couch and watch a movie or something. It's just so much better. Summer can shove it. Spring is all right, but it just means that summer's coming, so that sucks. So that's I don't know. All right, well we'll do more for another victory lap soon. Okay. So with that, what have we learned today, Scott?
Yes.
Oh boy. I learned Eric Brennan he showed up 3 days in a row to work at WKA, and he's only 10 minutes late. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Each
he
day.
did a good job this weekend. He did a very good job this weekend.
I learned
I'm in shock about that.
I learned that Robert Wickens is probably still going to be more useful than Eric Brennan.
Oh man.
Well, I marked it on my calendar, Scott. 8 months.
We didn't hear from Eric at all this week. I was a little disappointed.
Other than him yelling at me.
Yeah, we did comment on the show.
And maybe he hates me. He hates me so much.
Yeah. He kind of has a reason to hate you, though, Josh. You're pretty hard on him.
With reason. It's called tough love, Scott.
All right, Sam, what did you learn? I learned that Sam had no friends and had nobody to go trick-or-treating with, so his mom just bought him candy.
Oh wow! You know what? I'm surprised you just caught on to that, Scott.
Don't you have like 10 brothers and sisters? Could you at least go trick-or-treating with them?
They want nothing to do with him.
Josh is right, and they go all caught on too. I used to sit and just give the candy out and just watch Talladega because Talladega used to always fall on Halloween weekend. Just sit down and watch some Talladega by myself and eat some Reese's peanut butter cups. I was a fat little kid, still am, but that's besides the point. I've learned today on the RPM podcast that one, my table is small. I realized with my view of the RPM podcast that I look like Josh took the table he normally sets up as and he cut it in half. And then I realized I never took my table back from the Josh Matthews Family Studios, but that's okay. I learned that trick-or-treaters are like mosquitoes. They're attracted to really weird light. Scott's eggs aren't actually eggs. They're just paintballs. I learned that.
Did you freeze him too, Scott?
No.
Josh gets wailed from the back, and that Scott doesn't mind it. And apparently that I don't have any friends, and that my mom had to buy candy to make me feel better as the fat little girl that I was growing up.
Okay.
And you're in college and you're not going to any Halloween parties.
Listen, I work for a living. I have class. You guys are up my ass with the podcast. It's just one of the things.
Halloween gives
I left
every
you
girl the right
alone.
to wear slutty costumes and go out. You got to go to a Halloween party.
Scott,
Sam will go as sexy bunny.
Scott, nobody wants to see me in a slutty costume.
The girls, Sam. You want to go see the girls.
Sam, all you have to do is put a bow tie on and like shorts.
Just wear your Jersey Mike's uniform and go as a Jersey Mike's sub maker to a Halloween party.
You're right. My paychecks are pretty scary from that place.
And then all you have to do whenever you meet somebody, just go, hey, oh, hey.
Italian meatball. How you doing?
All right,
Give me
Josh,
your
what do you
phone
learn
number.
after 11?
Here's my meat.
All right, go ahead, Josh.
Today I learned Mischief Night is also called Cabbage Night. I learned that Jimmy Johnson would do better if his balls were tight. What? Dover proved that. I learned that Sam doesn't like mayo on his French fries. And I learned that Scott and Sam will be tag teaming at Turkey Derby, depending on who's wearing underwear.
He hooks him, I book him. You know what I'm saying?
You can do a little good cop, bad cop.
All right, so that's it. I guess we can't say see you at Wall or go to Wall, so we'll say Happy Halloween.
Go to practice at Wall. For the practice, grandstand admission should be free. You can watch, see who's going to be there, see what invaders are going to be coming in. It'll be a good time.
But that's not until November 10th, though. That's
November
not
10th. I'm trying to build it up.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, iTunes, SoundCloud, and we're not on SoundCloud anymore because those guys screwed our subscription up. So boycott SoundCloud. Boycott SoundCloud. There you go.
Yeah. Get the chant going.
Oh man, go ahead, Scott. Get out of
All
here.
right. Good night, everybody, and Happy Halloween.
Go to Wall.
Go to Wall. November 10th.
Freaking weird.